Wikipedia Ntiabani ne seated Kaduna Jishim Nigeria. I just said in our language that my name is Zwanjen Bobai and that I am a Wikimedian, and then we are here in Kaduna State, which is in the middle belt region of Nigeria. And then, yeah, I think that is all. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mika. Okay, the Herbert can go next.
Okay. Iminapo ao Simon yere Herbert. Ibanere ani ninyo. Ukuluma bosai mina kubirima soma. Otoro fini. Obuma. I have said in Ibani language that my name is Herbert and my Ibani name is Mininyo. And I'm reaching you from Bonny Island. How are you all doing? Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mika.
Mika, okay.
So I'll hand over the mic to CM. Hello, CM, are you with us? Okay, CM is not responding. Okay, I would like to give the floor to the Board of Directors at AFLC, Mr. Emmanuel Gateway is here with us. Emmanuel, you can introduce yourself.
Okay, Bajamuti Menkandie. Mediane Jitia. Na Meleka AFLC, Kuno Hontesenia, Omasoya kind of pepe. After Zumiyajma will go consult na TCA, my baby come home. Me Kasa free, Rwanda Kigali. Bamian Kasa de Miagana, ni Kasa American ye tree Kasa. Madam Wasi. Do I have to speak in English?
Make up for us to understand as well. Yeah.
You understand everything?
No. I said so that we can also understand.
My name is Emmanuel Clifford Jitian. And I'm part of the FLC, just like Umasoye had mentioned. I also work with Bolingo Consult, and I'm joining this conversation from Rwanda, Kigali, where I'm currently doing some work. And then I said that I'm originally a Ghanaian, and the language I'm speaking is Chi from Ghana, which is my mother tongue, and I'm a Ghana. Thank you.
Mika. Okay, I'll pass the mic to Hassan Gavin. Please, you can unmute and speak. Okay, no response from Hassan yet. Okay, I'll pass the mic to Michael Sodiq.
Ẹ kúrọ̀lẹ́ o, ṣàlàáfíà ni, ṣé ń gbóhùn mi o, ṣé gbogbo yín wà dáadáa. Orúkọ tèmi ni Mikael Sodiq Adésínà tí gbogbo èèyàn ń pè ní àwòkọ èdè. Mo jẹ́ elédè Yorùbá, bákan náà ni mo jẹ́ aláfikún sí ìwé ìmọ̀ọ́fẹ́ Wikipedia Yorùbá. Bákan náà ni mo jẹ́ aṣojú fún gbogbo ẹgbẹ́ Yorùbá Wikimedia Social Group. Èmi tí mò ń bá yín sọ̀rọ̀ yìí, mò ń sọ̀rọ̀ láti apá ìwọ̀ oòrùn Nàìjíríà, eléyìí tí a mọ̀ sí ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, pàápàá jùlọ ní ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó. Ẹ ṣeun. Good evening, colleagues. I thank you for giving me this opportunity. I just said in my mother tongue that my name is Mikael Sodiq Adeshina. I'm a Yoruba man, and I'm speaking to you in the Yoruba language. I spoke to you in a Yoruba language, rather. Speaking from Lagos, Nigeria, which is the western part of Nigeria as well. I'm a Wikimedian. I contribute to Yoruba Wikipedia mostly because that's where my strength is. And I also do some other work to promote Yoruba Wikipedia and Yoruba Wikimedians generally um, in my community. Thank you so much.
Sure, Sadiq. Okay,
Adupeo.
so at this juncture, I will pass the mic to our host for today, Kambai Akao. So he's going to tell us more about himself. I'll just do a brief introduction. He would going to talk more on that, and then he's going to start the workshop immediately. So our host for today is the founder of the SIAP Wikimedians user group. SIAP is spoken in Kaduna, that's the middle part of Nigeria, and he has been contributing to creating resources in the TIAP language, not just on Wikipedia, but also through the TIAP language initiative. Don't know if I got that correctly. So over to you, Kambai, and thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invite. And also, my name is Kambai Boko. I am also known by many names like Timothy Kambai Liba. I am from Kaduna State and I speak Tiap. And Tiap language actually is one language that many people have not really heard of it because it's a minoritized language here in Nigeria. And Tiap language is spoken also in Plateau State, pockets of speakers spread all over these areas. So I work mainly on the Tiap language, even though I'm a Wikimedian. But what actually took me to Wikimedia was just to edit Tiap language and maybe edit one or two things about the people who speak this very language out. It was in the process that I got to know what Wikimedia was. And today, I actually am very happy that I started editing Wikipedia and Wikimedia projects. So I got this invitation to be the speaker today to speak to you about open source in Wikimedia, as in the use of Wikimedia projects as an open source for language, also for education. You know, open sources are used for different aspects. So I don't know, is it only introduction that I would introduce myself because I have difficulty introducing myself sufficiently? Or should I go straight forward to speaking on the topic for today?
Yes, please proceed.
Yeah, so thank you very much. We're going to start with the issue of documentation. Yeah, you see, something that has to do with us who speak minoritized languages is that we would actually want a situation whereby we have this material or that material to help us to write something about our language. But you see that the privileges that other bigger languages have, we actually didn't have that. And you see that there are some large languages like, let's say, Yoruba or Igbo or Hausa that were written like years ago, but our own languages didn't happen to be written in that very manner. So today, if we are to actually start to teach our languages, you see that we are lacking resources to use. That's the reason why we need to document that very language or our languages. Now, what is actually documentation? Documentation is something that you do to support the survival of your language. Yeah, I don't know. Are you all hearing me? Someone couldn't hear me well.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, we
We
can.
hear.
Okay, thank you very much. So documentation is what we do to actually support the survival of our languages. And how do we document our language? We can document our language by storing the audio, the words of our language. We can document our language by storing the videos of people speaking these languages. We can document our language by storing the texts of our language. For those who are actually impaired in hearing, they can be able to actually read, maybe Braille. And for those who may not have gone to school, they can be able to use audio and also video. So we have different multimedia means of storing our language or documenting our language in order for people who are impaired or people who are normal, they are not impaired, to be able to actually learn these languages. Now, what are open source what do you call it? Open source softwares that we can actually utilize in saving this our and we know that major or not utilized, but you can still be able to document it. In Wikimedia, we have a number of projects. There's one that is very famous. It's known as Wikipedia. Wikipedia is actually somewhere that you go there to write a documentary, or you go there to write a biography, or you go there to write a history, or you go there to write maybe a chronology on, you know, a list of idea is actually vast. Whenever you want to document something that is quite vast, for some of us who have like attended schools that have libraries with these large books, they call them encyclopedias. You see that a particular book will be having A and another one B, another one C, up to Z. You see them lined up. You know, sometimes the whole line is the same book with different letters. So those are encyclopedias. And when you open them, you see history, you see history, or especially Jimmy Wales. He looked at it, and his mother actually bought him those books. So as a child, he was very passionate about learning. I was like, what about people who do not have mothers like my own mother that will be able to buy them books like that? Okay, why not we actually take these things and put them online for people to read them free of charge, without actually paying money or without any advert being put on any page, as we see on Facebook today. So that was how Wikipedia started. And today, anyone can be able to read Wikipedia without seeing adverts and without paying money. And in order for Wikimedia Foundation to be able to capture um, knowledge from all over the world, they opened up their doors for editors from other parts of the world to actually come in and become Wikimedians. And not just Wikimedians editing in English language or in the English language, but also Wikimedians that edit in different languages of the world. We have about 7,000 languages in the world, and the language English and French may have more speakers, but they don't represent all the cultures and the um, cultural heritages of the world. So Wikimedia Foundation then started this project in different languages. And today we have African languages that are being translated into Wikipedia. And my own language, that's a very small one in Nigeria, the Tiab language also has a Wikipedia, and many other languages, even dead languages like Latin, like Old English, they also have Wikipedia. So as someone who is passionate about saving a language or about documenting a language, you can actually think about, okay, this language is not started yet on Wikipedia. It doesn't have a Wikipedia representation. Why not I actually apply and then I start to translate on this very language? And um, I would like to use my own language as an example in this very state. In 2020, when I started to attend meetings of Wikimedia Foundation, I discovered that there are some languages in Europe that had very little populations, but they had Wikipedias. And in Nigeria here, we had Hausa Igbo Yoruba only. So I was wondering, why would we have only Hausa Igbo Yoruba? And that time, we didn't have Pidgin English having a Wikipedia on its own. So why wouldn't we have a Wikipedia? So I asked, can we actually apply for a Wikipedia? I got the answer, yes, any language so long as you are willing to do the job, of course, you can be able to apply for Wikipedia. So in 2020 December, we started that project. But we had a problem. The problem is that our language was not written until about 1940s, but actually started, the orthography was developed in 1990. So you see how early we are or how late we are. And how do we actually translate complex words? How will you tell me to translate intermediary? Or tell me to translate data, for example. Those are words that are new or so complicated that, or epicenter, yeah, mind blowing. So we started to, okay, what are the requirements that we need to actually meet to be able to have a Wikipedia published on live? So one of the requirements is that you must translate the 500 most used media wiki messages. Those 500 most used media wiki messages, they are words that have to do with like days of the week, like Monday, Tuesday, Friday, and then maybe months of the year, or and then maybe complex words like let's say interface, for example, or words like enter, log out, go in, menu, things like that, sign up, sign out. If you are to translate to an African language, sign out and sign in, log in and sign in. How do you actually separate sign in and log in? And they're not all the same thing. So you have to like, okay, brainstorm on what word should we actually work on this. So this very phase is what is called the data collection. So we started collecting the data and started documenting on temporal sources, started documenting those things, and that took like about 1 year to be able to translate. But then you see, when you are working with a small language, you also have a problem, or you may have a problem with the authorities, so to say. So we encountered a problem with our own authorities, the language authorities, and they were like, these children, how do you want to destroy our language? What do you know in the language? How will you start a project like this and you are not starting small, you want to start from up there. So these are challenges that actually, if one is out to document a language that is actually having a little number of people would encounter, is very natural, not only us here in Africa, but all over the world. That's the way it is, so long as we're a minority or minoritized group. And even for the major groups, you see that major groups also have dialects, and not all dialects are written. For example, in the case of Yoruba, now thank God Mikael is here. In Yoruba, there are over 10 dialects, and you see that the major dialect that is used is the standard form of that very language. So if you have a standard form, what happens to those ones that are not standardized? Should they go and die? No, you have to document them. So those smaller ones that are not being documented also have the same challenge with minoritized languages. So we have a lot of work to do actually, both in terms of the language documentation and the dialect documentation. So the very first step to do is to go out there to do a field work to get what you need, and then uh, you take your video recording, take your text recording, and then at the end of the day, it's about the importance of open source language. In sorry, Uma, you have to Wikimedia Foundation doesn't stop with Wikipedia. It also involves other projects like Wiktionary. The Wiktionary is actually an online dictionary. You know, I don't know how many of us have this English dictionary called Vocapture in our phones. It's an English dictionary online. It's offline actually. Vocapture is actually sourced from Wiktionary, the English Wiktionary. So in Wikimedia Foundation, there are about 300 languages plus that have Wiktionaries of their own. And TIAB also has a Wiktionary project. And this missionary project, just like the Wikipedia project, is open source and anyone can edit, and you don't have to pay money to read it. That's one importance about this thing called open source, actually. And then apart from Wiktionary, we also have the Wikimedia Commons. Wikimedia Commons is actually where you put in multimedia files like audio recordings, like videos, like how do you call it? Audio visuals, anything multimedia. You can snap pictures about your environments. For example, there are certain areas in Nigeria that you may not have seen. For example, if I ask you, you have any idea about how a place like Mambila looks? You like you may not have heard of. I don't know how many of us have heard of Mambila before. Anyone? So you see, you may not have seen Mambila, but Mambila is actually the coldest place or one of the coldest places in Nigeria. And funny enough, it is even colder than Jos, that has the reputation of being a cold city or one of the coldest cities in Nigeria. And so places like that, if we don't snap pictures and then upload them online for people to be able to see them, how do people know how they look like? And that's one of the reasons why you see before before Wikiloves Africa started, there was this kind of media representation of Africa that was out there on books in the world. Like there was an encyclopedia I picked in the library that was speaking about Lagos, and the picture that was there was, this slump area around Mushin, and it was looking very bad. So someone who has never gone to Lagos before, once that picture is put there, the person, so this is how Lagos looks, not knowing that it's more than that. So Wikimedia Foundation actually gives this opportunity for people who are interested in editing in Commons or Wikimedia Commons to snap good pictures about their environments and then post them, upload them. You are uploading them for free, although there are different licenses that you can upload your media with. If you want to limit it to a certain number of people, you can limit it depending on what Creative Commons license you give that very picture, but it is encouraged that you use open license 4.0 share alike license to upload your pictures or your videos or your images, so that anyone can use those images or multimedia files for any reason they want to. If they want to use it commercially, they are free to use it commercially, so long as you who uploaded those files else, it is okay under the 4.0 Creative Commons Share Alike license. And then also Wikimedia Foundation has projects like Wikiversity. Wikiversity actually deals with, it's like an online mobile university that one can go and study a particular course. Maybe it has to do with engineering or it has to do with psychology. There are a lot of books there that you can actually study to, I don't know if they are giving certificates, but, the major purpose for education is for personal development. The certificate can come later. And then also we have uh, another project. Yeah, Mambila is in Taraba. It used to be in Cameroon before 1963 or thereabouts, but it's later they voted to be part of Nigeria, so it got merged with the then northern protectorate or northern region of Nigeria. And then southern part, Wikimedia Foundation also has open source projects like Wikibooks. The Wikibooks, it functions just something similar to Wikiversity, but this one is more language specific. Like in Wikibooks, you can actually go and study about a language based on what is available there. And at the end of the day, you should be sure that you can be able to see text. And in some languages, they were able to edit and put audio recordings too that you can listen to. For example, you want to know how to count 1 to 10 in a language like Afrikaans, you can go to Wikibooks or Zulu. Like last time I checked, like last year, there were only 9 African languages in Wikibooks. And I was wondering why we don't have more languages in Wikibooks to, for people to go there and learn. So I was expecting that languages like, I think Yoruba should be there, Igbo should be there, but right now, the only languages in Nigeria that are there, they're just about 2 or thereabouts, and then the only South African language that is there is just 1 or so, 2 also Zulu. It's Zulu and Afrikaans, and then 1 from DR Congo, then Swahili, and then Arabic, then 1 other or 2 other languages. So these are sources actually where we can document our language. And we are not only documenting them, we are documenting them for free. Although we use our database, the amount of data that these open source sites they take, they are very minimal. You can use 1 gig for a lot of work. You can use 1 gig like for hours, and you still have something remaining. So for those of us who speak languages here in Africa, I would like to actually encourage you to do something about your language, because you see every day that passes by, some old person that knows how to speak this language is actually dying or is being hospitalized. And to shock you a little bit, one of the languages we have in Nigeria died last year. How does language die? When the speakers no more speak the language, and the people who speak the language, they also die off, and they don't pass the language to another person or the younger ones. So there's a language in southern part of Kaduna called the Nissan language. The last speaker, but one of the linguists from America, Roger Blanche, was able to document some of those words from that very language. And you see, because of that work, you can be able to know something about that very language. Now, the children of the actual speakers, they now speak the related language to that very language. So there's no history left on that very language apart from what was documented. Just imagine a situation whereby we have something documented about the language of Meroe. Meroe used to be the capital of Kush. Kush used to be a very big kingdom in Sudan, around where Khartoum is, close to Ethiopia. Now, Meroe, they have their alphabet, but till date, linguists have not been able to decipher what those writings mean. The same thing with the Egyptian hieroglyphics. It was just maybe 19th century or thereabouts, for hundreds of years, they have been trying to like, what do those hieroglyphics mean? What do they mean? Until they encountered this Rosetta Stone that was written in 3 scripts or 3 languages. So from there, the Rosetta Stone was able to serve as a link to that very hieroglyphics. And today, there are even people who are learning the Egyptian language, just for learning's sake. And you see, what else? I think I am reaching a state whereby I'll need questions so that I'll be able to give more output. And so thank you very much for your listenership.
Thank you very much, Kambai, for
Yes.
sharing this. Does anyone have any question to ask? If you have any questions, you can raise your hand. So for those who don't have like the technical know-how, like those who are new to wiki projects, so what would you recommend they start with? Like somebody who is looking to start documentation in their language, which of the platforms would you recommend they start with, or what do they do?
Yeah. So if, for example, you are working on a language or you are a speaker of a language that has no Wikimedia presence, it is not there. For example, a language like Idoma, for example, what I would recommend is that you can actually start editing the English Wikipedia. Know how to edit in English first, because that one will serve as a gateway for you to be able to contribute to other Wikipedias. Just take an instance whereby someone like me never edited in the English Wikipedia before, and I saw that I can be able to edit in my own language. How do I actually start it? It is going to be very difficult. So for a new person coming in to document their own language, please try to learn how to edit in the English wiki. You can join a Wikimedia group, or you can do it independently as a person. You will see that some of your edits may be deleted if you don't do it right, but there's a place for you to learn how to actually do the editing in the English Wikipedia, so you don't run into trouble with editing it. But don't be afraid of editing anyway, because the people who edit the English Wikipedia, they're also human beings, and there are those who may not be able to speak English like you, and they are still doing their best. So start from English Wikipedia, and when you have have the conviction that you can sufficiently edit and navigate through the English Wikipedia, then it is time for you to apply for your language to be added. The step is that you go to MetaWiki. There's a site called MetaWiki. That's a Wikimedia project. That's where all the coordination of different projects of Wikimedia takes place. And then you can search for requests, language requests, new language requests. Go to Google, type MetaWiki, and then when the MetaWiki environment opens, then go to the search icon and then type in new language request. Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, so you can click on www.metawiki.org and then search for new language request. So you see some things for you to go through and then put in your application there. When you put in your application, you see what is needed for you to start translation. The very first step is for you to go to Translate Wiki and then submit a request in Translate Wiki after you have created an account, because Translate Wiki belongs to another project different from Wikimedia Foundation. So you have to apply for membership there in Translate Wiki. So after you have gotten thank you. After you have gotten the Translate Wiki account, then you look for, you search for maybe new language request also, you know, then when you are able to see that, then you, or maybe, I don't know if Omar can be able to help us to get the link to where to submit a request. Yeah, so when you submit a request, it's going to take some little time because uh, your language will need to be added to the database, and then it will need to be connected. The ISO code, or the International Standardization Code for languages, every language usually has a code. It's either the code is two letters of the alphabet, or it is three. Like English, the language code is EN. For TIAP, it is KCG. For French, it is FR. And then for Equatorial, it is EK. And then for Ibani, for Igbo, all languages that you know their languages, they have language code. But if your own language does not have a language code, then that means it has not yet been recognized as a language. That means it is still seen as a dialect of another language. So you can still make an application in that very bigger language. And then once you get approved for you to start translating in Translate Wiki, then you can then incubator, as I said. So the Wikimedia incubator is actually a site that you start to translate your Wikipedia or your dictionary. And when it is able to reach a particular period, let's say within a space of 6 months, at least 6 months, you have had at least 5 active editors from your community translating in that very language. And consistently, every month, each person has done at least 12 to 15 edits per month. You can have one person doing up to 1,000 edits per month. It's very possible. So you are able to have editors do edit a particular number of edits per month, and you are able to be consistent with a particular number of editors per month up to the period which would be sufficient enough, like at least 6 months. Then Wikimedia can begin to consider to take your language away from the incubator into the main space. Once it is taken to the main space, then you have your subdomain name of Wikipedia or subdomain name of Wiktionary. Like for a language like Equatorial, for example, once Equatorial goes out of the incubator, it will begin to have this URL code ek.wikipedia.org. So anyone who browses that takes the person directly to the main space or the main page of Equatorial Wikipedia. So I don't know if that sufficiently has answered the question for a new language.
Yes, thank you very much. Come by. Thank you. Okay, it's time for questions. If you have questions, you can indicate by raising your hands. Any questions or contribution? Michael, are you speaking?
Yeah, thank you for having me once again. I'm Mikhail Sadiq additional. And I want to thank Kambai for his the presentation. It was very insightful, and also an encouraging one for those who wants to document language and make language available for the future generation yet unborn. Actually, I want to second him. Before I dropped off the grid, I want to support him with where he said language is key, because documenting language is very important for the future generation that have not yet unborn. The method he has highlighted, especially for your language to be documented on Wikimedia projects, are very important and germane. And at the same time, it is very easy and simple. But before you can become someone before you can become a guru in the process, you need to have a mentor. A mentor will be a kind of guide, or a kind of life guide for you in case you are falling into a pit, you want to fall into a pit or the other. The mentor will be able to guide you to mentor you to the right path, whereby the step that are necessary for you to take at a point, the mentor will be there to guide you, so that you have a successful and each free Wikipedia page for your language. And if we are talking about mentor, it can be anybody from every other community. Thank God we are all volunteers and we are ready to work with ourselves to make things work and to make language documented. That's our goal, because, for example, as Adelia mentioned, that in Yoruba language, we have more than 400 dialects, in Yoruba language alone, not to talk of other African languages, especially other Nigerian languages that are more than 5,000. Let me put it that way. So, just to support that point, we need to begin to shift our attention to these dialects to make them visible. And all of them, the problem we'll be facing in that angle is documentation issue, like the one he had earlier mentioned for TIAP. For example, someone who wants to document Ijesha language in Yoruba, which is also a dialect in Yoruba language. If you want to document Ijesha or Ekiti, or you want to document Yagba as a dialect of Yoruba language, you need to have um, an archive, or for example, don't let me say an archive, you need to have somewhere whereby the language has been documented, written in a written format. Most of African languages, we are not used to written formats in the earlier years, but nowadays we are beginning to have written documentations. So that dialect should be able to have at least something that can put it on the mainstream. So that can also be a challenge, because finding these documents can be a very tedious thing to do, because you wouldn't know who are the authorities of these dialects, because most of them will have submitted to the main language, which is the Yoruba, the Hausa, the Igbo. So there are a lot of challenges that you might actually encounter, but I believe as Kambaya has done his own and is working perfectly well, he's also a mentor. If you want to have a Wikipedia page, you can choose him as a mentor, make him one, and he will guide you through the every steps he has taken for you to be able to make it to the top of the ladder. So, what I'm saying in essence is this: documenting language can be a very tedious thing, and it is very important we take care of this aspect of human resources, because if we leave it behind or we leave it alone, we won't prosper as a language speaker. We won't prosper because our language is our identity, our dialect is our identity. So we need to take care of it, document it, preserve it, and promote it as well for people to see. And I also want to thank the coordinator, the Umasoye. I met let me say 4 years ago or 3 years ago, around 2020, within that COVID period. Through her, I know what is Ekpeye. And I'm beginning to follow her everywhere she goes just because I want to learn more about the language. She coined something, speak Ekpeye. It's very germane and important, something that is catchy. So that is language promotion. You need to promote the language, make it visible, let people know what you are really putting forth for them to learn or to see. So we need to document the language. One, we need to make sure we we support it, we promote it, and we protect it. Secondly, we need to promote it so that people will actually have interest, especially the indigenous speakers will have interest in documenting their language and also promoting it as well. So I just want to support my brother for the presentation. He has given us a very good and well detailed presentation. Thank you, Kambai, and thank you, my other colleagues who have not been spoken. And Umasoye, I also thank you very well. Actually, I don't have a question. If I begin to those questions, I can also answer them myself. So I don't need to ask questions. I just need to support you so that others who are willing to, bring their language to the Wikimedia platform can also know where and how to support their languages and their talents. Thank you so much. I remain your humble one, Mikhail Sodiq.
Thank you very much, Mikhail. Mikhail. I don't know if I got it correctly. Thank you. You've given us a detailed summary of our conversation this evening. Thank you very much. And our time is almost exhausted. We just have 5 minutes left. So I would like to thank our host for today, Kambai Akao, for this insightful presentation he gave to us today. So please feel free to reach out. Please drop your email address in the chat. So if anybody would like to reach out or maybe at a wiki project in their language, they can reach out to you. So once again, we are having a monthly webinars like this, where we talk about different topics relating to African languages. And our next webinar is coming up on the 29th of November. So we would still like to see you during the webinar. And also we are gearing for the next edition of the African Languages Conference, which is coming up in 2025. So if you're not following us on social media, you can follow us on LinkedIn at African Languages Conference, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at OurConf. So you can look for us at any of the social media platforms and stay updated on updates about the conference as well. Also, you can subscribe to our newsletter as well to stay updated. We share opportunities relating to African languages worldwide. So thank you everyone for being here today, and we look forward to seeing you in our upcoming webinars.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much for having us here. Thank you.
Thank you for coming, Mikhail. Thank you, Hassan. Thank you.
Okay, Kambai's email is in the chat, so yeah.
Yes.
Thank you everyone, and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye. Bye.